I pulled into the driveway at 3:15 in the afternoon. The appointment had taken longer than expected. Dr. Chen wanted to run additional tests, nothing urgent, just routine blood work for a woman my age. 72 years on this earth, and suddenly everyone wants to monitor everything. But I didn't mind. Robert always said I had the constitution of someone 20 years younger. That's what he told me the week before the stroke took him. The house looked different in the autumn light. The maple tree Robert planted 30 years ago had turned completely red overnight, it seemed. I sat in the car for a moment, keys still in the ignition, looking at the house we'd built together. 43 years of marriage, 3 children, 7 grandchildren, and now just me rattling around in 4 bedrooms and too many memories. I turned off the engine. The neighborhood was quiet. Most people were still at work. That's when I noticed Derek's car in the driveway. My son rarely visited on weekdays. He managed a real estate firm downtown, always busy, always rushing. Vanessa's SUV sat beside his, gleaming black paint reflecting the afternoon Sunday. They must have come together. Perhaps they wanted to take me to dinner, make up for missing my birthday last month. I gathered my purse and the folder of medical paperwork Dr. Chen had given me. The front door was unlocked, which struck me as odd. I always locked it when I left, a habit from my years working at Morrison & Associates, where I'd spent 35 years managing accounts and teaching young CPAs the difference between clever tax planning and fraud. The door creaked slightly as I pushed it open. I meant to call out, to let them know I was home, but something stopped me. Maybe it was the tone of voice I heard from the living room, Derek's voice, but not the way he usually spoke to me. Sharp, impatient, the voice he used with difficult clients. I'm telling you, Vanessa, we need to move faster on this. She's not getting any younger, and the longer we wait, the more complicated it becomes. I froze in the entryway, my hand still on the doorknob. The shopping bags from my morning errands sat by the coat rack where I'd left them. I could see into the living room from where I stood, though they couldn't see me. Derek sat on Robert's old recliner, the one I couldn't bring myself to give away. Vanessa perched on the couch, laptop open on her knees. Your mother seems perfectly fine to me, Vanessa said. How exactly are we supposed to convince anyone she needs to be in Meadowbrook? Those places cost $6,000 a month. Derek leaned forward. That's the point. Meadowbrook is expensive, yes, but it's also where we need her. Once she's there, we file for power of attorney. We cite her age, her isolation, maybe some confusion. Dr. Patterson owes me a favor. He can document some memory concerns. My breath caught in my throat. Dr. Patterson. The physician Derek had recommended last year when I mentioned feeling tired. I'd only seen him once, didn't care for his dismissive manner, and went back to Dr. Chen. And then what? Vanessa asked. We just start managing her finances? Not just managing. Vanessa, think about it. This house alone is worth $700,000, probably more in this market. She's got the life insurance payout from Dad, his pension, her own retirement accounts. We're talking over $2 million in liquid assets, plus the property. And she's sitting on it, doing nothing. She's living her life, Derek. That's what people do with their money. She's wasting it. His voice rose slightly. Do you know she donated $20,000 to that literacy foundation last month? $20,000 to help adults learn to read. Meanwhile, Tyler needs braces. Emma's tuition is due, and we're drowning in the mortgage on the new house. The house you insisted we buy, Vanessa said quietly. That's not the point. The point is, she doesn't need all that money. She doesn't travel. She doesn't buy anything. She's living like a miser in a house too big for one person. It's irresponsible, frankly. We're her family. We should be benefiting from what Dad worked so hard to build. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Not anger yet. Something else. Recognition, maybe. The same feeling I used to get at the firm when the numbers didn't add up, when someone's expense report showed dinners for 4 when they'd been traveling alone. So we get her into Meadowbrook, Vanessa said slowly. You get power of attorney and then what? We just start spending her money? Not spending. Redistributing. I can sell this house, invest the proceeds properly. She doesn't need to be involved in those decisions. And honestly, Vanessa, at her age, with her starting to slip. He paused. Well, it's really the kindest thing we could do. Before she does slip for real and gives it all away to strangers. Your mother hasn't slipped at all. She does the crossword puzzle in pen. She volunteers at the library twice a week. She beat me at Scrabble last Sunday by 90 points. Derek waved his hand dismissively. She's good at hiding it. That's what people with early dementia do. They compensate. They cover. But I've noticed things. Last month she forgot Tyler's middle name. At Christmas, she called Emma by her cousin's name. These are signs, Vanessa. I almost laughed. Tyler's middle name was James, after Robert's father, and I'd never forgotten it once. At Christmas, I'd called Emma Sweetie because I was holding 3 other conversations and had 6 grandchildren running through my kitchen. But Derek was building a narrative. I recognized the technique. I'd seen it in depositions, in audit disputes. Take ordinary moments, reframe them, build a case. I don't know, Vanessa said. This feels wrong. What feels wrong is letting her waste away in this house when we're struggling. We're her family. We deserve to be taken care of too. Dad would have wanted us secure. Robert's name in his mouth made something flare inside me. Robert, who'd worked double shifts at the plant so I could finish my degree. Robert, who'd coached Little League and never missed a school play. Robert, who'd told me 2 days before he died that the kids were set up just fine and I should enjoy whatever years I had left. I stepped backward, slowly, carefully. The floor didn't creak. I pulled the door closed with the softest click, then stood on the porch, heart hammering. The medical folder shook slightly in my hand. I walked back to my car, got in, started the engine and drove around the block. When I returned 10 minutes later, I made sure to close the car door loudly, to jangle my keys, to call out cheerfully as I came through the front door. "Hello? Anyone home?" Derek emerged from the living room all smiles. "Mom. Hey, we were just talking about you." "I'll bet you were," I thought. "What a nice surprise," I said. "How are you both?" Vanessa appeared behind him, laptop tucked under her arm. She looked uncomfortable, wouldn't quite meet my eyes. "Hi, Margaret. We just stopped by to check on you." "Well, I'm fine as always. Can I make you some coffee?" "I just got back from Dr. Chen's office. Clean bill of health, though she wants me to take some vitamin D supplements." "Actually, Mom, we need to get going," Derek said. "But I wanted to talk to you about something. Do you have plans next Tuesday?" "Tuesday? I don't think so." "What's on Tuesday?" "I'd like you to meet with someone. A friend of mine, Dr. Patterson. He specializes in geriatric care, and I think it would be good for you to establish a relationship with someone who really understands the needs of." He paused, searching for the word. "Senior patients. I have Dr. Chen. Dr. Chen is great for general practice, but Mom, you're at an age where you need someone who specializes. Dr. Patterson is excellent. He can do a full cognitive assessment, make sure everything's working the way it should." "My cognition is fine, Derek." "Of course it is. This is just preventative. You always taught us to plan ahead, right?" The phrase landed like a stone. I had taught him that. I'd taught him to balance a checkbook, to read a contract, to question everything. Apparently, I'd taught him too well. "I'll think about it," I said. "Great. I'll set something up and let you know." He kissed my cheek. Vanessa gave me a quick hug. They left within minutes. I stood in the living room after they'd gone. The house felt different now, contaminated somehow. I sat in Robert's recliner, still warm from Derek's body, and tried to organize my thoughts. This wasn't impulse. This was planned. The mention of Meadowbrook meant they'd already researched facilities. The comment about Dr. Patterson meant they'd already discussed medical documentation. The $2 million figure meant they'd been through my finances, probably had access to statements somehow. Had I left paperwork out? Had I mentioned account numbers in casual conversation? I pulled out my phone and called Helen. She answered on the second ring. "Margaret, how was the doctor?" Helen Chen and I had been friends for 40 years, since our sons played together in kindergarten. She'd gone to law school at 45, built a successful practice in estate planning, and now spent half her time on her boat and half her time keeping wealthy families from destroying each other over inheritances. "Helen, I need your help. Legal help. And I need you to not ask me too many questions right now." There was a pause. "Are you safe? Do I need to come over?" "I'm safe. I need to protect myself. Can you come tomorrow morning, early? I'll be there at 8. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in the bed I'd shared with Robert, looking at the ceiling, replaying the conversation I'd overheard. The casual cruelty of it. The entitlement. $20,000 to a literacy foundation. And Derek thought it was wasteful. I'd grown up with a mother who couldn't read a menu, who signed her name with an X. That donation honored her. But to Derek, it was just money I should have given to him instead. At 2 a.m, I got up and went to Robert's study. I'd left it mostly untouched since he died. His books still lined the shelves. His reading glasses sat on the desk. I opened the filing cabinet where we'd kept important documents. Everything was there. Birth certificates, mortgage papers, insurance policies, investment statements. I pulled out my phone and photographed every single page. Then I went through the house with fresh eyes. Where else might Derek have gotten information? The desk in the kitchen had a drawer where I kept monthly bills. I photographed those too. My checkbook, my credit card statements, everything. It took 3 hours. By 5 a.m, I had 247 photographs stored in a new folder on my phone. Helen arrived at 8 sharp, looking concerned. I made coffee and laid it all out for her. She listened without interrupting, her lawyer face on. When I finished, she set down her cup. How certain are you about what you heard? Completely. And you want to protect your assets without confronting them directly? Not yet. I need to know what I'm dealing with first, what they have access to, what they've already done. Helen pulled out a legal pad. Okay. First, we need to understand your current situation. Do you have a power of attorney document? Robert and I did them together 15 years ago. Derek is named as my attorney, in fact. That needs to be revoked immediately. We'll draft a new one. You can name me if you'd like, or we can set up a professional fiduciary. You. I trust you. She made notes. Do you have a will? Yes. Standard division between the 3 kids. But Derek doesn't know this, Helen. Robert and I updated it 5 years ago after Melissa's divorce. We wanted to make sure the assets went to the children directly, not to their spouses. Derek thinks the will still gives him direct access. Good. That's good. What about joint accounts? Does Derek's name appear anywhere? No. I was careful about that after Robert died. Everything is in my name only. Helen looked up. So how is he planning to access your money? Power of attorney. If he can get me declared incompetent, or even just confused enough to need help, he can use the old POA document to make decisions. He mentioned Dr. Patterson. I think he's planning to get medical documentation to support a guardianship petition if necessary. That's fraud. That's elder abuse. Margaret, we could go to the police right now. No. Not yet. I need to understand the full scope of this. What if there's more I don't know? What if he's already done things? Helen, I worked in accounting for 35 years. When you find one irregularity, you keep digging, because there are always more. She nodded slowly. All right. Then we build a case. We document everything. We protect your assets legally first, then we see what he does next. Can we do this without him knowing? Yes. We revoke the old POA quietly. We update your will with stronger protections. We set up monitoring on your accounts so we can see if anyone tries to access them. And Margaret? She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. We record everything going forward. If he's building a false case of incompetency, we build a counter case of competency. Doctor visits, cognitive assessments, everything on record. How long will this take? The paperwork? A week. Building an ironclad case that you're of sound mind and body? A few months. Can you pretend nothing's wrong for that long? I thought about Derek sitting in Robert's chair, casually discussing how to steal my life. I can pretend for as long as it takes. We spent the next 4 hours going through my finances in detail. Helen was thorough, I'd give her that. She found things even I'd forgotten about. A small annuity Robert had bought in the 90s, a joint savings account with my sister that we'd opened for our mother's care and never closed, a life insurance policy I'd taken out on myself with the grandchildren as beneficiaries. This is substantial, Helen said finally. Derek wasn't exaggerating. You're looking at close to 2.4 million in total assets, including the house. Is that wrong? Should I have less? She laughed. No, Margaret. You and Robert worked hard, saved wisely, and now you have financial security. There's nothing wrong with that. What's wrong is your son viewing it as his money that you're temporarily holding. He said Robert would have wanted them taken care of. Robert set up college funds for all the grandchildren. He made sure Derek had a good start in his business. He did take care of them. But he also wanted you secure. I know because I drafted the documents myself. She closed her laptop. Tomorrow, I'm filing the new power of attorney revocation. I'm also setting up monitoring on all your accounts. If Derek or anyone else tries to access them, we'll know immediately. And I'm scheduling you for a full cognitive assessment with Dr. Sarah Morrison. She's the best geriatric psychiatrist in the state, completely independent, and her reports would hold up in any court. Derek wants me to see Dr. Patterson. Don't. Make an excuse. Better yet, tell him you're already seeing someone. Tell him your regular doctor referred you to Dr. Morrison, and you're all set. It's not even a lie. Dr. Chen will write you a referral letter today if I ask her. Why would Derek's Dr. Patterson be willing to falsify records? Helen's expression darkened. I've seen it before. Not often, but it happens. A doctor who owes favors, who's willing to interpret normal aging as cognitive decline, who'll write vague notes about concerning memory lapses without actual medical evidence. It's hard to prove, but it plants seeds. In a guardianship hearing, even a hint of decline can tip the scales, especially if the family presents a united front about care concerns. United front. Vanessa didn't seem comfortable with the plan. Then she's your potential ally. But we can't approach her yet. Not until we know more. Dr. Morrison's office was in a medical building I'd never visited before. The waiting room had comfortable chairs and paintings of gardens. Soothing. I suppose that was the point. Dr. Morrison herself was younger than I expected, maybe 50, with kind eyes and a direct manner I appreciated. Mrs. Thornton, your friend Helen explained you wanted a comprehensive cognitive assessment. Can you tell me what prompted this? I'd rehearsed this. I'm 72. I lost my husband 2 years ago. I want to make sure I'm still sharp, that I can continue living independently. My son has expressed some concerns, and I'd like to address them with medical facts rather than assumptions. What kind of concerns has your son expressed? That I'm forgetting things. Names, appointments. Normal things, I think, but he seems worried. She made notes. And are you forgetting things? No more than usual. I've always been terrible with celebrity names. I can tell you the entire periodic table, but don't ask me who won the Oscar last year. She smiled. Tell me about your daily routine. I walked her through it. Mornings I did the crossword puzzle and read 3 newspapers, 1 local and 2 national. Tuesdays and Thursdays I volunteered at the public library, helping with their financial literacy program. Wednesdays I had book club. Friday afternoons I babysat for my daughter's twins. I managed my own finances, cooked my own meals, drove myself everywhere, and had recently started learning Italian on a phone app because I wanted to visit Rome next spring. Why Rome? Robert and I always planned to go. We kept putting it off. Work, kids, life. Then he died, and I realized I was still alive, so I'm going. In May, if my knees hold up. We spent 3 hours together. She tested my memory, my reasoning, my language skills. She asked me to draw a clock, to count backwards from 100 by 7s, to remember a list of words and repeat them back 15 minutes later. She showed me pictures and asked me to identify them. She gave me scenarios and asked how I'd respond. At the end, she sat back. Mrs. Thornton, I'm going to be very direct with you. There is absolutely nothing wrong with your cognitive function. You're performing at the level of someone 20 years younger. Your memory is excellent, your reasoning is sharp, and your executive function is better than most people half your age. If your son is concerned, it's not based on any medical reality I can detect. Can you put that in writing? I'll have a full report ready by end of week. But Margaret, she leaned forward slightly. Why do I get the feeling this isn't really about whether you're declining? Because you're perceptive. If someone is questioning your competency for reasons other than genuine concern about your well-being, that's a serious matter. Do you feel safe? Physically, yes. Financially? I paused. I'm taking precautions. Good. Keep taking them. And if you need this assessment repeated in 6 months to establish pattern, call me. Derek called that evening. Hey, Mom. Did you think about Dr. Patterson? Actually, I already saw someone. Dr. Chen referred me to a specialist, Dr. Morrison. Had a full assessment done today. Everything's fine. Silence on the other end. Then, oh, well, that's great. What kind of assessment? Cognitive function, memory, that sort of thing. Dr. Morrison said I'm in excellent shape. She's writing up a full report for my records. Right. Good. He didn't sound pleased. Listen, I wanted to talk to you about something else. Have you thought about downsizing? That house is a lot for one person. I like my house. I know, but maintaining it, the property taxes, the upkeep, it might make more sense to look at something smaller, or even a nice retirement community. They have some really great ones now. Meadowbrook, for instance. Full activities program, chef-prepared meals. I'm not interested in Meadowbrook. You haven't even seen it. Derek, I'm 72, not 92. I'm perfectly capable of maintaining my home. If that changes, I'll reassess. But right now, I'm fine where I am. Another pause. Okay, sure. I just worry about you rattling around in that big place alone. I appreciate your concern, but I'm really fine. After we hung up, I sat with the phone in my hand, feeling the weight of what was happening. Derek wasn't giving up. He was probing, testing, trying different approaches. The medical route hadn't worked, so now he was pushing the downsizing angle. How long before he tried something else? Helen called an hour later. Someone tried to access your Wells Fargo account today. Attempted online login at 3:47 p.m. The IP address traces to Derek's office. The login failed because I'd already changed your passwords and security questions, but he tried 4 times before giving up. My stomach dropped. He already tried. He's not wasting time. Margaret, this is evidence. He attempted unauthorized access to your accounts. That's a crime. What do I do? Nothing yet. We document. We wait. We see what else he does. But you need to be very, very careful now. He knows something has changed. The doctor route didn't work. He can't access your accounts. You're refusing to move. He's going to escalate. How? I don't know. But whatever he does, we need to catch it. Do you have security cameras at the house? No. Get some. I'll send you a link to a system you can set up yourself. Put them outside, inside, in common areas, everywhere except bathrooms and your bedroom. If he comes over and tries anything, we'll have a record. You really think he'd... Margaret, he already tried to hack your bank account. Yes, I think he'll do more. I installed the cameras that weekend. 4 outside, 6 inside. They connected to an app on my phone and recorded everything to cloud storage. The process took me most of Saturday, and I had to call tech support twice, but by Sunday evening, I had comprehensive coverage of my entire first floor and all entry points. Sunday night, Derek called. Hey, Mum. Vanessa and I want to take you to dinner tomorrow. There's a new Italian place downtown we've been wanting to try. Italian sounds lovely. Great. We'll pick you up at 6. After he hung up, I called Helen. He wants to take me to dinner tomorrow. Don't go alone with them. What? Margaret, think about it. You've blocked his medical plan, his financial access, and his downsizing push. Now he wants to get you alone in his car, take you somewhere public. What if he creates a scene? What if he or Vanessa start making claims about your behavior, your confusion, your memory? In front of witnesses? You think he'd do that? I think we prepare for it. Ask your daughter to join you. Make it a family dinner. Safety in numbers. And Melissa would notice if they tried to set you up. I called Melissa. Honey, Derek and Vanessa are taking me to dinner tomorrow. Want to come? Oh, I'd love to, but I have the twins' soccer practice. Bring them. We'll make it an early dinner. My treat. Are you sure? 2 5-year-olds in a restaurant isn't exactly relaxing. I'm sure. I miss them. 6 o'clock? She agreed. I texted Derek. Melissa and the twins are joining us? I hope that's okay. Haven't seen them in a while. His response came 5 minutes later. Sure, the more the merrier. But I could feel his frustration through the phone. The dinner was awkward. Derek was all forced cheer, asking about my week, commenting on how sharp I seemed. Vanessa was quiet. Melissa kept the twins entertained with crayons and colouring sheets. And I watched. I watched Derek's face when the waitress mixed up our order and he jumped on it. See, Mom? Easy mistake. Names, faces, orders. It happens to everyone. I didn't get the order wrong, I said mildly. The waitress did. Right. But you know what I mean. We all forget things. I'm not forgetting anything, Derek. Melissa looked between us, puzzled. What's going on? Nothing, Derek said quickly. Just talking about how sometimes we all have senior moments. Mom doesn't have senior moments. She literally helped me file my taxes last month and found 3 deductions my accountant missed. Well, sure. But at her age, at my age, I'm fine, I said firmly. I'm going to Italy in May, actually. I've been learning Italian. Vuoi venire con me? That means, do you want to come with me? One of the twins, Sophie, clapped her hands. Grandma speaks Italian. Just learning, sweetheart. But I'm getting there. The dinner ended early. Derek paid the check, hugged me briefly, and left with Vanessa. Melissa lingered. Mom, what was that about? What was what about? Derek acting weird. All that stuff about forgetting things and senior moments. You're sharper than anyone I know. He hesitated. Then, Melissa, if I needed help with something serious, could I count on you? Her face changed. Of course. Mom, what's wrong? Not here. Come to the house tomorrow. Just you. Can you do that? She searched my face. Yes. I'll be there at 10. That night, I reviewed the camera footage from the week. Nothing unusual. Derek hadn't come by when I wasn't home. No one had tried the doors or windows. But at 2 a.m., I caught something. A car, driving slowly past my house, stopping briefly in front, then continuing. It happened 3 times in the footage from different nights. The same car, Derek's car. He was watching, checking, trying to catch me in some moment of confusion or vulnerability. I forwarded the footage to Helen. Her response: this is stalking behavior. He's building a case. Stay vigilant. When Melissa arrived the next morning, I had everything ready. The camera footage, the documentation from Helen, the recorded conversation I'd overheard, the bank access attempts, all of it. She listened, growing paler. No, Derek wouldn't, Mom. This is insane. I know it sounds insane, but look at the evidence. She watched the footage of Derek driving past repeatedly. She read Helen's legal notes. She listened to her brother's voice discussing how to put me in a facility and take control of my money. When it was done, she sat very still. He really thinks you're just sitting on money that should be his. Apparently. You gave him $50,000 3 years ago when his business was struggling. You paid for Tyler's summer camp and Emma's piano lessons and his new roof when they bought that ridiculous house they couldn't afford. And now he wants. She stopped. What are you going to do? I don't know yet. That's why I'm telling you. Because if he escalates, I need someone who knows the truth. Someone who'll stand with me. Of course I'll stand with you. But Mom, this is criminal. We should report this. Not yet. I want to know what he'll do next. I want to see how far he'll take this. What if he takes it too far? What if he tries something more than just stalking and bank fraud? Then we'll have more evidence. She shook her head. You're setting a trap. Yes, I am. Just like you used to do with those fraudulent expense reports at work. I smiled slightly. Exactly like that. You let them think they're getting away with it, let them get confident, let them take the next step, and then you have them. And if he doesn't take the next step, then we reassess. But Melissa? I think he will, because he's entitled. He believes that money is rightfully his, and I'm just an obstacle in his way. She left an hour later, shaken but committed to staying alert. I spent the rest of the day reviewing my finances again, making sure every account was secure, every document was backed up, everything was in order. At 5 p.m. my phone rang. Unknown number? Mrs. Thornton. This is Dr. Patterson's office. We had you down for an appointment tomorrow at 2 p.m., but we wanted to confirm. I don't have an appointment with Dr. Patterson. Oh. Our records show that your son Derek made an appointment on your behalf. For a cognitive assessment? I've already had a cognitive assessment. With Dr. Morrison. I'm all set. I see. Would you like me to cancel the appointment then? Yes, please. Of course. I'll make a note in your file. I don't have a file with Dr. Patterson. A pause. Oh. Well. I'll note that we're cancelling the appointment Mr. Thornton requested. After I hung up, I called Helen. Derek made an appointment for me with Dr. Patterson. Without telling me. That's good. That's very good. He's establishing a pattern of trying to get you assessed, trying to create medical documentation. Make sure Dr. Patterson's office emails you a cancellation confirmation. We want a paper trail of him trying to push you toward his friendly doctor. The next week, things were quiet. Too quiet. Derek didn't call. Vanessa didn't text. The car didn't drive by the house. It felt like a held breath, waiting to exhale. Then Melissa called. Mom, did you tell Derek he couldn't see the twins anymore? What? No. Why would I do that? He just called me, furious. He said you told Vanessa that he was cut off from the family, that you'd decided he was too irresponsible to be around his nieces. He said you were getting paranoid and turning into a bitter old woman who was punishing him for caring about your welfare. My hands went cold. Melissa, I never said anything like that. I haven't spoken to Derek or Vanessa in over a week. I know. I told him that. I told him you'd never say something like that, and he insisted you did, and then he said— She paused. He said maybe I was covering for you because I didn't want to admit you were declining. He's lying. He's making things up and trying to turn you against me. I know that now. But Mom, he was convincing. Really convincing. If I hadn't already known what he was doing, I might have believed him. What did you tell him? I told him he was full of shit and hung up. Despite everything, I almost laughed. Good. This is escalating, Mom. He's not just trying to get power of attorney anymore. He's trying to isolate you, make the family think you're becoming difficult and paranoid. If he can turn everyone against you, it makes his case stronger. She was right. It was a smart strategy, actually. Horrible, but smart. Get the family to question my judgment, my mental state. Then when he pushed for guardianship or conservatorship, he'd have family members testifying that yes, Mom's been acting strange, saying odd things, making baseless accusations. I need to call your brother Thomas, I said. And your sister. They need to know what's happening before Derek gets to them with his version. I spent the evening on the phone. Thomas in Denver, steady and analytical, listened carefully and promised to document any contact from Derek. Sarah in Portland, my youngest, cried and asked what she could do. I told them both the same thing. Be aware. Don't believe anything without verifying it directly with me, and keep records of everything. That night I couldn't sleep again. I lay in the dark, thinking about the son I'd raised. The boy who'd cried when his hamster died. The teenager who'd worked 2 jobs to save for college. The young man who'd called me every Sunday when he first moved out. Where had that person gone? When had he become someone who could lie so easily, who could plot so carefully to steal from his own mother? Or maybe he'd always been this person, and I just hadn't wanted to see it. At 3 a.m., my phone buzzed. A notification from the security cameras. Motion detected at front door. I pulled up the feed. Derek stood on my porch trying my door handle. When it didn't open, he tried the windows. Then he pulled out his phone, made a call, and walked away. My phone rang. Derek. I didn't answer. Watched on camera as he stood on the lawn, phone to his ear, watching my dark windows. He left a voicemail. I played it back. His voice concerned and warm. Hey, Mum. I drove by and saw your lights were on really late. Wanted to check on you, make sure you were okay. Call me in the morning, all right? Love you. But my lights hadn't been on. I'd been in bed in the dark. He was lying, creating a false record of concern, establishing himself as the worried son checking on his declining mother. I forwarded the video and the voicemail to Helen. Her response came immediately. Don't delete anything. This is evidence of harassment and stalking. He's ramping up. She was right. 2 days later, a woman from Adult Protective Services showed up at my door. Mrs. Thornton? I'm Jennifer Walsh. I received a call from your son expressing concerns about your welfare. May I come in? What kind of concerns? He indicated you've been isolating yourself, making accusations against family members, possibly neglecting self-care. I'm here to conduct a wellness check. Make sure you're all right. I let her in. Showed her my clean house, my stocked refrigerator, my organized medications. She asked me questions about my daily routine, my social activities, my healthcare. I answered everything clearly and completely. After 30 minutes, she closed her notebook. Mrs. Thornton, I'm going to be frank. There's nothing here that concerns me. You're clearly competent, well cared for, and managing just fine. However, your son seemed genuinely worried. My son is concerned about my finances, not my welfare. Her expression shifted. You see, I have documentation, if you'd like to see it. Legal documentation of his attempts to access my accounts without permission, to pressure me into medical assessments with his preferred doctor, to manipulate family members into questioning my mental capacity. Mrs. Thornton, that's beyond my scope. But if what you're describing is accurate, you should speak with an attorney. I have one. But I wanted you to know the real situation, because I suspect this won't be the last time someone from APS visits me. My son is building a case, and he's using every tool he can think of. She nodded slowly. I'll note in my report that there are no concerns about your welfare or capacity. And Mrs. Thornton? Document everything. If this is what you say it is, you'll need evidence. I'm good at evidence. I was an accountant for 35 years. She almost smiled. Then I suspect your son has underestimated you. After she left, I sat down and created a timeline. Every event, every call, every attempt Derek had made. The pattern was clear. He was escalating, trying different approaches, getting more desperate as each one failed, which meant the next attempt would be bigger. I was right. 1 week later, I received notice that Derek had filed a petition for guardianship and conservatorship. The hearing was scheduled for 6 weeks out. According to the legal filing, I was suffering from dementia, was unable to manage my affairs, and required a court-appointed guardian to protect me from my own declining faculties. His evidence. A statement from Dr. Patterson documenting concerning memory lapses and confusion from an appointment I'd never attended. Testimony from Derek and Vanessa about my paranoid accusations against them. A letter from Adult Protective Services about a welfare check that omitted the conclusion that I was fine. And statements that I'd been making poor financial decisions, including donating large sums to questionable organizations. He'd twisted everything, distorted facts, omitted context, and built a case that on paper looked compelling. An elderly widow, declining mentally, in need of protection from herself. I called Helen. He filed. I know. I already got a copy. We need to meet. Can you come to my office tomorrow? I'll be there at 9. That night I recorded a video. Sitting at my kitchen table, clear-eyed and calm, I explained everything. What I'd overheard, what Derek had tried, what was happening now. I dated it, timed it, and uploaded it to a secure server. Insurance, in case something happened before the hearing. Helen's office the next morning was organized chaos. She had 3 associates working on the case, assembling evidence, preparing arguments. Margaret, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Derek's petition looks bad on paper. He's got a doctor's letter, witness statements, and he's presenting himself as the concerned son trying to protect his vulnerable mother. But we've got something better. We've got the truth. And we've got evidence. She laid out the battle plan. We'd counter with my cognitive assessment from Dr. Morrison, with bank records showing Derek's unauthorized access attempts, with camera footage of him stalking my house, with testimony from Melissa about his lies, with documentation of every manipulation attempt. But more than that, Helen said, we're going to put Derek on the stand. We're going to make him explain under oath why he tried to access your bank accounts, why he drove by your house repeatedly at night, why he made appointments in your name without your knowledge, why he misrepresented the APS visit. Every lie he's told, every manipulation he's attempted, we're going to expose in open court. Will it be enough? It'll be more than enough. Margaret, this isn't a close case. This is elder abuse. This is fraud. This is a son trying to steal his mother's life savings by having her declared incompetent. The evidence is overwhelming. We're not just going to win, we're going to destroy his case so thoroughly that the judge will refer him for criminal prosecution. I don't want to destroy him. I just want him to stop. Helen looked at me steadily. Margaret, he tried to steal your autonomy. He tried to have you locked in a facility against your will so he could plunder your life savings. He lied to your family, manipulated social services, and forged medical records. He doesn't get to just stop. He has to face consequences. She was right. I knew she was right. But he was still my son. The boy I'd rocked to sleep. The child I'd protected. How did I raise someone who could do this? I asked quietly. You didn't. He chose this, not because of how you raised him, but despite it. The 6 weeks before the hearing were the longest of my life. Derek's lawyer tried to schedule an emergency hearing, claiming I was in immediate danger of financial exploitation by unscrupulous advisors taking advantage of my vulnerability. The judge denied it after reviewing Dr. Morrison's assessment. Derek tried to visit. I didn't let him in. He sent flowers. I donated them to the hospital. He left voicemails full of loving concern and thinly veiled threats about what would happen when the judge saw how sick I really was. I documented everything. 3 days before the hearing, Vanessa called. Not Derek's number, hers. Margaret? It's Vanessa. Please don't hang up. I'm listening. I need you to know I'm not part of this anymore. I told Derek I won't testify. I won't lie in court. What he's doing is wrong, and I can't be part of it. Why are you telling me this? Because you need to know, and because I'm leaving him. I've already filed for separation. I can't stay married to someone who'd do this to his own mother. Vanessa. I should have stopped him from the beginning. I should have stood up to him when he first started talking about Meadowbrook and power of attorney. But I didn't, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Margaret. She was crying. I could hear it in her voice. What changed? I asked. Tyler asked me last week why Grandma wouldn't see him anymore. He misses you. And I realized we were teaching our kids that it's okay to betray people you love if you think you deserve their money more than they do. What kind of mother does that make me? Thank you for calling. If you need me to testify, I will. I'll tell the judge everything Derek said, everything he planned. Everything. I'll let my attorney know. The courthouse was cold. I sat next to Helen at a long table watching Derek and his lawyer across the aisle. He wouldn't look at me, kept his eyes down, his face composed in an expression of sorrowful concern. The judge was a woman in her 60s, Judge Carol Martinez. She reviewed the filings with a sharp eye, then looked up at both parties. This is a guardianship and conservatorship petition. Mr. Thornton, you're alleging your mother is incompetent to manage her affairs. Mrs. Thornton, you're contesting. We'll hear from both sides. Mr. Thornton, you may present your case. Derek's lawyer was smooth. He painted a picture of a declining elderly woman, confused and paranoid, making poor decisions and alienating her family. He tried to introduce the letter from Dr. Patterson. Helen objected immediately. Your Honor, Mrs. Thornton never saw Dr. Patterson. That letter is based on an appointment that never occurred, documented observations that never happened. We have documentation proving Mrs. Thornton was elsewhere on the alleged appointment date. The judge frowned. Mr. Thornton, can you explain this? Derek stumbled. Dr. Patterson based his assessment on my reports of her behavior, on what I observed. So this isn't actually a medical opinion. This is your opinion, filtered through a doctor who never examined the patient. Well, she refused to see Dr. Patterson, because she'd already been examined by Dr. Morrison, a board-certified geriatric psychiatrist who found her completely competent. That report is in the file, correct? Yes, Your Honor. But let's move on. What about the financial concerns? You allege she's making poor decisions. She donated $20,000 to a literacy charity without discussing it with family first. Mr. Thornton, it's her money. She doesn't need family permission to donate to charity. But at her age, with her memory issues. What memory issues? The medical evidence shows no memory issues. Do you have any documentation of actual financial mismanagement? Unpaid bills? Bounced checks? Overdrawn accounts? Derek's lawyer shifted. Not exactly, Your Honor, but then what we have is an adult woman spending her own money in ways her son disapproves of. That's not grounds for guardianship. Helen stood. Your Honor, if I may? Please. We have evidence that Mr. Thornton's concerns about his mother aren't based on her welfare, but on his desire to access her finances for his own benefit. We have recordings of him discussing plans to have her declared incompetent specifically to gain control of her assets. We have evidence of repeated unauthorized access attempts to her bank accounts. We have video footage of him stalking her home. And we have testimony from his soon-to-be ex-wife about the true nature of his motivations. The judge looked at Derek. Is this true? That's taken out of context. I was just... Mr. Thornton, did you or did you not attempt to access your mother's bank accounts without her permission? Silence. Did you or did you not discuss with your wife a plan to have your mother moved to a facility so you could manage her assets? More silence. Mr. Thornton, I'm going to be very clear. This petition is denied. Not only denied, but I'm ordering a formal investigation into possible elder abuse and fraud. What I'm seeing here isn't a concerned son. What I'm seeing is an attempted financial exploitation of a vulnerable senior. The fact that the senior in question turned out to be considerably less vulnerable than you anticipated doesn't make it any less serious. Your Honor, please. I'm not finished. Mrs. Thornton, do you wish to pursue criminal charges against your son? I looked at Derek. Really looked at him. He was pale, hands shaking slightly. The reality of consequences finally hitting him. I thought about the boy he'd been, the man he'd become, the choice I had to make now. No, Your Honor, I don't want criminal charges, but I do want a restraining order. I want it documented that he's not to contact me, not to approach my home, not to attempt any further manipulation or access to my affairs. And I want him to understand that any inheritance he might have expected is gone. I'll be revising my will to reflect his actions. The judge nodded. Restraining order granted. 100 yards, no contact, enforceable for 1 year with option to renew. Mr. Thornton, you should consider yourself lucky. What you attempted here could easily result in criminal charges. I suggest you reflect very seriously on your behavior. She banged the gavel. This case is dismissed. In the hallway after, Melissa hugged me tight. It's over, Mom. Yes, it's over. But it didn't feel over. It felt like loss, like grief. I'd won, but what had I won? The right to stay in my own home? The right to manage my own money? Those weren't prizes. Those were baseline rights. What I'd lost was my son. Derek stood at the far end of the hallway, his lawyer speaking to him urgently. He looked up once, met my eyes, and I saw something there. Not remorse, exactly. Calculation. Like he was already planning what came next. He's not done, I said quietly. He can't come near you, Helen said. The restraining order isn't going to stop him. It's just going to make him more careful. I was right. 2 months later, Thomas called. Mom, Derek reached out. He said you'd been diagnosed with dementia but were too proud to tell anyone. He sent me a copy of a medical report from some doctor I've never heard of. It's fake. I know. I called the doctor's office. They've never heard of you. But Mom, he's trying to go around the restraining order. He's contacting family members, spreading lies, trying to build a case through them. I know. I expected it. What are you going to do? What I've been doing. Documenting. Waiting. Letting him dig his hole deeper. How deep does it need to be? I thought about that. How many lies? How many manipulations? How many attempts before it was enough to finally, truly stop him? I don't know, I admitted, but I'll know it when I see it. That night, I sat at my kitchen table with a fresh pot of tea and a blank sheet of paper. I wrote down everything I knew about Derek's tactics, his patterns, his likely next moves. He'd tried the medical route, the financial route, the family route, the legal route. All had failed. What was left? The answer came to me at 2 a.m. Public opinion. Social media. If he couldn't convince doctors or judges or family, he'd try to convince strangers. He'd tell his story online, paint himself as the devoted son with a mentally ill mother who'd rejected his help. He'd start a campaign, gather sympathy, maybe even donations for her care. I called Helen in the morning. I think I know his next move. Tell me. I explained my theory. She was quiet for a moment. Then, that's actually brilliant. Horrible but brilliant. Social media campaigns for sick relatives are common. People are sympathetic. And it's hard to disprove claims about someone's private medical information. So how do we stop it? We don't. We let him start it, gather evidence, and then we shut it down publicly. With facts. With your actual medical reports. With the truth about what he tried to do. We turn his weapon against him. That's cruel. No, Margaret. That's justice. 3 weeks later, Derek launched a GoFundMe, help my mother get the care she needs. The description was heart-wrenching. A devoted son whose mother had dementia but refused treatment, who'd become paranoid and hostile, pushing away family, who needed specialized care but wouldn't accept it. He was raising money to help with legal fees to protect her from herself and ensure she got proper care. The campaign went viral. $50,000 in 3 days. Comments poured in. What a wonderful son. My prayers are with you. So sad when parents won't accept help. Helen waited until the fund hit $75,000. Then we struck. She released a statement with documentation. My cognitive assessment from Dr. Morrison. The judge's ruling from the guardianship hearing, including the findings about Derek's attempted financial exploitation, video evidence of his stalking, records of his unauthorized access attempts, and a clear, concise explanation of what he'd actually tried to do. The backlash was immediate. GoFundMe shut down his campaign. News outlets picked up the story. Son tries to steal elderly mother's fortune. Gets caught. Starts scam fundraiser. His real estate business lost clients. People who'd donated demanded refunds. Derek tried to defend himself online. claimed it was all a misunderstanding, that his mother was being manipulated by greedy attorneys, that the documents were fake. But the truth was documented, verified, undeniable. Within a month, his business had collapsed. Vanessa's divorce was finalized. And Derek had moved 3 states away, trying to start over somewhere his name wasn't synonymous with elder abuse. I should have felt victorious. Instead, I just felt tired. Melissa came over one evening, found me staring out the window at the maple tree. "You did the right thing, Mom." "Did I? He's my son." "Maybe if I'd handled it differently." "He made his choices. You just refused to be his victim. There's a difference." I keep thinking about when he was little, how he used to help me bake cookies, how he'd bring me flowers from the garden. Where did that boy go? I don't know. Maybe he was never really there. Or maybe somewhere along the way he learned to value money more than people. But Mom, that's not your fault. You raised 3 kids the same way. Thomas and Sarah and I didn't turn out like him. That was Derek's choice. She was right. I knew she was right. But late at night, when the house was quiet, I still wondered if there was something I could have done differently. 6 months later, I boarded a plane to Rome. Melissa and the twins came with me. We spent 2 weeks walking ancient streets, eating pasta, trying my terrible Italian on patient shopkeepers. I saw the Colosseum, the Trevi Fountain, the Sistine Chapel, all the things Robert and I had planned to do together. I cried at the Trevi Fountain. Not for Robert, though I missed him. Not for Derek, though I grieved what we'd lost. But for myself. For the woman who'd almost let fear and manipulation steal her life. Who'd almost stopped believing she deserved to live it on her own terms. I threw a coin in the fountain, made a wish, and turned back to my daughter and granddaughters, waiting with gelato and smiles. A year later, my new will was finalized. Melissa, Thomas, and Sarah would split the estate equally. Derek was mentioned by name and explicitly disinherited. The Literacy Foundation got a substantial bequest, and I'd set up trust funds for all the grandchildren, including Derek's kids, that he couldn't touch. I also started a program, Elder Financial Protection Workshops, free seminars at libraries and community centers, teaching seniors about the warning signs of financial exploitation, how to protect their assets, how to recognize manipulation from family members. Helen helped design the curriculum. Dr. Morrison did the mental health component, and I taught the financial literacy parts. The first workshop had 8 attendees. A year later, we were running them in 20 cities. We'd helped over 300 seniors identify and stop exploitation attempts. And we'd documented dozens of cases similar to mine. Children who saw their parents as walking ATMs, who couldn't wait for them to die to access inheritances, who were willing to lie and manipulate and steal. It broke my heart every time. But it also reminded me that what I'd gone through wasn't unique. It was common. Too common. And by speaking up, by sharing my story, I was helping others avoid the same fate. Derek reached out once, 2 years after the court case. A letter, forwarded through Helen to avoid violating the restraining order. It was brief. "I'm sorry for what I did. I was desperate and made terrible choices. I don't expect forgiveness, but I want you to know I regret everything." I read it 3 times, looking for sincerity, for genuine remorse. I couldn't find it. The words were right, but they felt rehearsed, calculated, like another manipulation attempt, just more subtle. I didn't respond, threw the letter away, and moved on. Because that's what I'd learned through all of this. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away. Sometimes protecting yourself means cutting ties, even when it hurts. Sometimes love isn't enough to bridge the gap between who someone is and who you need them to be. I'm 75 now, still living in my house, still doing the crossword in pen, still volunteering, still teaching, still living my life on my own terms. I visited Rome again last spring. Thomas and his wife came this time. We're planning Greece for next year. The grandchildren visit often, even Derek's kids. When Vanessa brings them, I've made sure they know I love them, that what happened between me and their father doesn't change how I feel about them. They're not responsible for his choices. I think about Derek sometimes. Wonder if he ever really understood what he tried to do. If he ever grasped that he wasn't just trying to steal money, but autonomy, identity, the right to live my last years as myself, making my own choices, good or bad. I'll never know. Maybe he does understand and doesn't care. Maybe he doesn't understand and never will. Either way, it's no longer my problem to solve. I'm free. Free to make mistakes, free to donate to causes I believe in, free to travel or stay home or eat ice cream for dinner if I want. Free to be 75 years old and still fully, completely, gloriously myself. And that freedom? That's worth more than $2 million. Worth more than any inheritance. Worth more than the pain of losing a son who never really saw me as a person, just as a resource to be managed. I earned this freedom, fought for it, documented for it, stood up in court and said, no, this is my life and you don't get to take it. And now I'm living it. Every single day. The maple tree is beautiful this year. Red and gold and perfect. Just like Robert said it would be when he planted it all those years ago. I sit on the porch with my morning coffee, watching the leaves drift down, planning my next workshop, my next trip, my next chapter. I'm not done yet. Not even close. And nobody, not even my own son, gets to decide when I am. That's the lesson I teach in every workshop now. Your life belongs to you, not to your children, not to anyone else. You. You get to decide how to spend it, how to end it, how to live it fully until the very last moment. I'm Maggie Thornton. I'm 75 years old. I almost let my son steal my life. But I didn't. I fought back. I won. And I'm still here. Still standing. Still living. And I'm not going anywhere until I'm good and ready.